The Little Mermaid. The king of the sea had a beautiful daughter named Ariel. She always dreamed of the life on land. Despite the prohibition of her father, she often escaped to the surface of the sea to play. She had two friends, a small fish and a seagull. The seagull often told her many things about humans. The king of the sea felt extremely angry and worried when his daughter did not obey his rules, so he asked his most loyal servant to look after the little mermaid. One day, Ariel saw a big sailing ship, so she swam up closer. On the boat, she saw many sailors dancing, singing, and then she saw Prince Eric. She fell in love with him at first sight. Suddenly, a thunderstorm raged. The boat swayed and was engulfed in the storm. The little mermaid saved the prince and brought him to the shore. While he was unconscious, she sang a wonderful song. Suddenly, she heard the footsteps of the sailors looking for the prince. Ariel had to return to the sea. When the prince woke up, he still remembered that sweet song and was determined to find the girl who saved him and married her. The king of the sea felt extremely angry when he knew that his daughter had fallen in love with a human. He destroyed all the little mermaid's items related to humans. The little mermaid explained to her father, "But father, I love him and want to marry him." The king of the sea shouted, "No way! He's a human. He eats fish, my liegeman." Then the king of the sea turned and walked away. The sea witch knew about it through the magic sphere. She always wanted to be the king of the sea, but had no chance. She thought, "Maybe this is my chance." The sea witch invited the little mermaid to her place and promised to help her marry the prince. She said, "I can turn you into a human in 3 days. If in those 3 days you make the prince kiss you, you will live with him forever. Otherwise, you will have to be my prisoner. But in those 3 days, you will lose your voice." The little mermaid agreed. The sea witch made the spells. The little mermaid's voice disappeared. Then it went into a seashell. And her fish tail disappeared, replaced by human legs. A seagull and a small fish helped her to find the prince. After a while, the little mermaid met the prince, who loved her so much when he heard that voice. But when seeing that the little mermaid could not talk, the prince thought he met the wrong person. However, knowing she needed a place to live, he took her to his castle. In the 2 days together, the prince loved the little mermaid more and more. The sea witch was afraid that her plan broke down, so she turned into a beautiful and charming girl to prevent the love of the prince and the little mermaid. She used the little mermaid's voice to seduce the prince. On the 3rd day, the prince and the young girl celebrated the wedding. At the wedding, the seagulls swooped on the bride, making her confused, so she dropped the shell containing the little mermaid's voice. Thus, the little mermaid regained her voice. At the same time, the sea witch returned to her original appearance. The sun had set, and the little mermaid's legs were turned back into fish tails. The sea witch pulled the little mermaid into the sea. The little mermaid called the prince and said, "Prince, I love you!" Now the prince knew for sure the little mermaid was the one who saved him. When the king of the sea heard that news, he waited at the sea witch's lair. The sea witch said, "If you want me to release your daughter, then please empower me." The king of the sea agreed to hand over his trident power to the sea witch and become her prisoner. At the same time, the prince came to rescue his lover. The sea witch turned into a giant, holding a trident power to beat the prince. The prince was very brave, darting the sailing ship into the sea witch's body. The sea witch just shouted aloud and disappeared. The king of the sea set free and regained his power. Now he knew how much the prince loved his daughter. The king of the sea accepted the love of true people and converted on the little mermaid's legs. The prince and the little mermaid held a wedding ceremony. Then they lived happily ever after. That's the end of the story today. Thank you for watching.